Kia ora Aotearoa. Welcome whānau to the War on News, your weekly sacred cow slaughtering assault and current affairs, being live from the palatial Stratus news bunker buried deep beneath the heart of the Greyland Republic. Liberal media bias? You bet your sweet ass. And tonight's political media crimes against reason kill zone. Rodney Hyde has a dream that one day rich white old men will get to run Auckland Super City. Michael Laws, a provincial redneck mayor too far? Got poisoned milk? Plus this week's Wanko of the Week and the Barack Obama People's Hero Award. Leading the War on News this week, brothers and sisters. Hands up who feels that since the right wing won power, the I'm not racist but brigade is saying things out loud that they once would have been too embarrassed to say, like our brownies don't eat dogs, or that woman's got a moustache, or I want the legal right to bash my kids, or anything Michael Laws has to say. Current public debate in New Zealand feels like one has awoken at a KKK rally wearing a Boy George costume. New Zealand has taken a more redneck tone in recent public discourse because now political correctness is left with evil Auntie Helen to the UN. New Zealand blokes can stop sucking their prejudice in and let it bulge over their intellectual belts. Last week, Dr. George Thompson from Otago University made a speech showing that the talk-hate radio myth of nanny state had a massive rise in use at the same time government attempted to regulate industries connected to obesity, tobacco or alcohol. Dr. Thompson noted when industries think their profits are at risk, they negatively frame the efforts of government to protect people from an industry's activities. In short, your opinion is being manipulated by spin doctors via corporate media, so their profit margins aren't affected by public health campaigns. Talking public health, global pharmaceutical criminal repeat offenders Pfizer were fined a record $2.3 billion for illegal marketing practices when they gave doctors kickbacks and all expenses paid conferences to have them pimp Bextra painkillers to patients, knowing that Bextra could actually kill those patients. Now, $2.1 billion sounds like a lot, but when you consider Pfizer made $1.2 billion per year from Bextra, and this dates back to 2002, it looks like Pfizer still made about $4 billion all up. Yay! The legal drug pushers made another billion at our collective health cost. Whānau, let's get sexy. It's Sex in the Super City time! When the government weren't looking to sell police stations, mine conservation land, and quietly privatise the entire New Zealand continental shelf, they were announcing the Super City electoral system they're forcing upon Auckland, which is inherently biased towards the wealthy elite, and hilariously, the whole charade is being sold as fair and democratic. After annexing Auckland through a misuse of parliamentary process and hand-picking the transition team, Rodney Hyde's dream to one day see rich, white, old men cement super city power is set to blitzkrieg through, minus any pesky tangata whenua daki malaki. Corporate editorial opinion responded to the government's actions this week by acknowledging that there is the possible whiff of privatisation about all this, but that the government would be silly to risk massive public backlash and that we should just trust the government not to privatise. Yeah, we should trust Rodney Hyde, who believes climate change is a hoax. We should trust Roger Douglas, who thinks all government is a hoax. And we should trust Optimist-in-Chief John Key, who believes the SAS will be able to contain terrorism and stabilise Afghanistan all within 18 months. Yeah, the corporate media's suspension of belief for trust in the government is as depressing as Q&A winning this year's Best Current Affairs show. Whānau, we've got to move on. Freedom is about the individual, and the measure of a free society is how we move to protect the minority from the majority. If the majority thinks that people wearing glasses should be locked up, that's not freedom or democracy. That's what Rodney Hyde had to say about the gang patch legislation right before he voted for it. It was a busy week for Wanganui Mayor, talk hate host and mascara emo lover Michael Laws when he wasn't banning gang patches to magically wish away gangs from intimidating people. He was fighting with 11-year-olds over his incorrect spelling of Wanganui. Students from Otaki's school told Michael they were angry with the decision. He replied, "I know you are. You said you are, but what am I?" Michael went on to point how fat their mamas were and that his dad could beat up theirs. Now, I don't wish to be cynical, but calling on their teacher to be sacked, telling 11-year-olds to focus on Māori child abuse and murder rates, and then advising them to get counselling for their anger issues seems, what's the word I'm looking for? Childish, doesn't it, whānau? Brothers and sisters, we've got to move on. Got poisoned milk? Turns out all that palm kernel the dairy industry imports from destroyed rainforests to feed their cows just happens to produce a fungi that can pass through the cow, making toxic milk that can poison humans. The dairy industry have known about this since 2006, yet still imported a quarter of all the palm kernel on the planet last year to feed their cows. The insanity of aiding in rainforest destruction for our own agricultural industry, which in itself filthies our waterways and creates climate change gases to produce an end product that may in fact poison us, makes perfect economic sense. And anyone who says otherwise is just a lefty, muesli munching pinko communist who hates farmers. Shut up, New Zealand, and drink your poisonous milk. And over the news, let's hand out this week's Wanko of the Week. This week's Wanko of the Week, brothers and sisters, goes to the Australian Police Force. In an attempt to stop their police from being corrupt, officers in New South Wales are being handed specially designed police Bibles to help them not deal drugs, take kickbacks from drug dealers, or help run the entire drug trade in Australia. Australian police are some of the most corrupt in the Western world and have been caught organising the drug traffic at the highest levels. Critics have pointed out that all the Bibles will apparently help the Australian cops with is avoid assault charges, as the Bibles don't leave external bruises when used to bash prisoners in interrogation cells. I'm kidding. Finally this week, whānau, the Barack Obama People's Hero of the Week Award. This week, it goes to Barack Obama. News whānau that after killing thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of innocent civilians, the Americans admitted that they had the wrong strategy in Afghanistan. Oops. That's right. After 8 years of bombing the country back into the Stone Age, the Americans admit they've kind of miscalculated this whole hearts and minds thing when so many hearts and minds have felt freedom rain down on them from 30,000 feet. Apparently the problem with why there are so many civilian deaths in Afghanistan is because the US military insist on bombing densely populated civilian areas. Like this week, when the US dropped a 2,000-pound bomb on a fuel tanker. Who would have imagined that would be explosive and kill over 100 people? Bombs like this one, where our very own brave New Zealanders were sticking Demon energy drink stickers on them. The chalking mentioned the Taliban, but it's just as likely to land on a civilian. Let's get another Victoria's Cross medal for that one, eh, lads? Add into this mix the fact that the election looks like it was rigged, and we really do have to ask ourselves why John Key is so optimistic the SAS can complete their mission of stabilising the country and containing terrorism all within 18 months. Afghanistan, it's the new Vietnam. That's it for the show, folks. Don't forget the conversation continues online at tumeki.blogspot.com. Good night, New Zealand. You stay classy out here, though. Righto.